of it. So I used half
Well,
Hudson Bay accent, half of this. Oh, hi.
Oh, hello there. Didn't see you there.
Hi, neighbors. I see you've joined us.
Hi, diddly-ho.
Well, look at that. So that was the fastest 10 minutes of my life.
Welcome to the Dishpit. Welcome to the Dishpit, our little after show. Listen, you guys had probably questions and comments during the Sharp Knives Rock show for the threes of you that watched. So now's your time to ask questions.
Half a dozen?
Was there a whole half dozen? Holy smokes.
I think you just described it as half a dozen. So, yeah, so the Dishpit is, I guess, you know, heaven forbid I say it, is the less structured version of Sharp Knives Rock.
Well, Sharp Knives Rock, we tried.
We try, and now they just leave the camera on after, you know, the beer lady shows up and gives everyone beer.
Thanks, beer lady.
Thanks, beer lady.
I can't have any beer. You know what? I drank 2 days ago, and I still feel it. So,
Lordy,
you know, yes, sir.
Lordy,
yes, sir.
Garbage, who's apparently your biggest fan because he made you the winner of the chopstick challenge, but it was clearly rigged. That he said this is an hour today. He said he's coming off in an hour. So
all right. I like how Chris used MS Paint to come up with evidence. That was nice. It was a nice throwback to grade 4.
I think the evidence was rigged, possibly, but I also believe it was official. I think you cheated, but we had no real proof.
Well, and that's the thing. You know, I'm getting to the point now with this chopstick nonsense that, like, if you know what, who cares? We'll have a rematch. I'll beat you again.
If I just moved you down, you wouldn't
do it. Do it. Whatever you want to do.
Oh, you would
whatever you want to do, Kevin.
Baby.
I don't cry about it. I just wreck your stuff.
How many more axes do you have?
How many do I need?
How many walls do you have?
A lot of walls. A lot of space on that wall still. That's nothing that a little, you know.
He's not intimidated by this at all. I don't know.
No. The problem is that he's just not smart enough to be scared.
Oh. That's it.
Ding.
Okay, here,
so
Chris,
I'm trying to like, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just to not talk about Chopstick Challenge, which you're now the winner of, okay? And you won the dad.
For now, but you know what? Someone else will. You know what? There's got to. I'm there. Someone will beat me. James Dean down in the States. He sent a video in very casually.
We can send videos.
He casually smoked us.
Yeah, like he was telling a story about like, oh yeah, he's like, so James he tunes into a lot of our videos. I don't know if he's here today or not. I didn't notice, but if he's telling this lovely story about growing up in Chicago and how like he was in grade 4. I don't know, James might be 60. I think that's what he said. He's growing up in Chicago and he's one of the first times he meets like a Japanese family. There's a kid in his class and they come in to show like some of the etiquette around meal. He's just very like, here's a Skittle. Here's a Skittle. Here's an M&M. And it was like, I was sweating bullets trying to do it. And I like practiced a bunch, and this guy he wiped the floor with us. So I'm sure whoever, like, I'm at the top for like until next time, until someone else does it. That's about it, really.
Well, I want a rematch. I still want a rematch because I think that you cheated, and I think I can beat you.
Well, I think we hold off a rematch until we're in the same room.
Yes. When we can
so
fly,
then when
we come here, we do a rematch. We might even get Nell to win, but probably not because he's the shame of the nation.
Yeah, we should just keep him there. Yeah.
Train.
He's gonna train out. I want to see the video, the training video.
Oh, the training montage, the Rocky IV training montage.
Push-ups with chopsticks.
That's the next video. That's the next video.
If you don't have a Rocky style training video, I'm not here for it.
You know what though? You know what I immediately thought of was like I started with Rocky, but then I went to Kids in the Hall when the guy, the guy like my pen, that guy, and he went to go get his pen back, and he was doing and the squishing heads and all that. There was a good training montage on Kids in the Hall. You have to trust me. If
All
you didn't
right.
see it.
I don't trust you, but I believe you.
Okay. Well, that was enough nonsense to make sure a couple of people joined the video.
Perfect. Listen, we've got Natasha from Establishment Brewery in Calgary here. And we should probably talk. We didn't talk enough about sours.
Yeah.
And if anybody knows, like, you know, I have tried to like sour beer. I've tried.
We talked about this.
I've written an article about my trying to like sour beers. I went on a sour beer tour last year on my bicycle. We went to Highline and 88 and Establishment and then Dandy.
Mm-hmm. It's a good tour.
Is 88 the one
by
with
the end, Dylan, the brewer at Dandy, by the end, Dylan came out and he's like, Kevin, we have five sours on tap. And I just went, oh God. And he puts all 5 in front of me and I tasted all of them. I drank the one that's the wild sour because I can get into that one.
Yep.
And then he just took pity on me and showed up with a glass of stout. He's like, here you go.
So
like, thanks, buddy.
I've been to Dandy.
You have, that's
You've
right.
brought me to Dandy before.
It's a fact.
Highline is the one around the corner from the store?
Yes.
That's Highline, yeah, right around. Yeah, we have to start there as well. They are steps from our front door.
Mm-hmm. Is 88, is that the one with like, it's got all the funky tile and whatnot in the pouring room? Like we went there, but there was like a private party and we couldn't stay for very long. Is that place?
That's the one. Yeah. We tried to.
Okay.
All
right.
Anyway, I want to talk about sour beers.
Yeah.
Because I've got this theory about sour beers that sour beers, they come in 4 flavors. Okay? They come in vinaigrette, yogurt, vomit, and something good. What I mean is, it seems to me that the vinaigrette, the yogurt, and the vomit ones, it seems like they made nice beer and then put the vinaigrette, yogurt, or vomit in the beer.
Oh, no.
Right? Whereas the one that's nice, it tastes like the brewing, like the fermentation and the sour happen kind of together at the same time. And it seems the flavors are more integrated.
Yes.
Right? Because otherwise, sometimes they're just like, this is a nice beer and there's vomit in it. Or this is a nice beer and you put yogurt in it. Or this is a nice beer and you just poured vinegar in. How come you don't?
That's kind of how I feel about kombucha.
Beer with lemon in them.
I mean, hopefully that's not what commercial brewers are doing.
Just vomiting in it?
Bring all the babies to the brewery. Let's go.
Just get Nathan. Just get 17 Manhattans in Nathan.
17.
I've held
impressed.
I've held Nathan's hair more than a few times.
You gotta pull the mustache.
Yeah, I just hold his mustache back.
Don't
like
worry
this.
there. Just the mustache. Yeah. Sour beer is really interesting because there are tons of different styles.
Yeah, there's the vomit style.
Okay, well, that's
Let her speak, Kevin. Oh, Christ.
So we'll start. Let's start with the vomit style. Well, why not? Okay, so that's an off flavor, and should that be in the beer? It's something called butyric acid, and it gives off a aroma and flavor, if you get that far, of like baby vomit, and it's quite putrid. And it shouldn't be there if you have the right.
But it is there sometimes.
Occasionally,
you can't deny it.
Occasionally, it can be there. Brewers try and avoid it as much as possible before commercially releasing a beer. There is an organism that can take butyric acid, and it's through something called esterification, and it's a chemical reaction that makes something called ethyl butyrate, which tastes like pineapples.
So you can take the puke and turn it into pineapples.
Yes. But you can also take the pineapples and turn it into puke.
Oh, so nice. Did you know that Did you know pineapples smell like Parmesan cheese?
Ah, yes, we did learn that. Yes.
Tastes like it too.
Tastes like it too. I don't believe it, but I've heard this today.
Yeah, ethyl butyrate is the chemical compound responsible for that. So hopefully what we're trying to get in our beer is that pineapple character, but sometimes, it goes wrong. Vinegar is acetic acid. There's a particular species of bug that also creates acetic acid, Acetobacter. And it can be a nice addition as a complexity where you're talking about like the sour beers that kind of have a really interesting profile to them. But if the beer is really acidic, it ends up tasting like balsamic vinegar.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's like salad dressing.
Or something not as good as balsamic.
Yeah. Funnily enough, my very first sour beer that I actually enjoyed was a beer called Duchesse de Bourgogne. And
I don't like that, but it's shockingly expensive.
Thought it was great. And then as I started to like develop my palate and train my palate towards certain flavors, now all I can smell in it is like a balsamic vinegar. But it should be a nice like integration if you are having any acetic acid. And when we do blending, we're actually tasting for that and tasting for the volatile acidity of certain barrels. And you can take, like if we're blending 5 barrels, there might be 1 barrel that has a little bit of it. And then you blend it into 4 other barrels and you come out with a blend that has that nice complexity.
Well, listen, this is Jamrock.
This is Jamrock.
This is Jamrock. I've got some Jamrock at home.
Set his hand up for a minute.
I've got some Jamrock.
I have a question.
In a second. Go put some money in the jar. Just kind of.
I haven't said any bad words.
I'm going to put an axe through a wall.
Apparently there's new rules.
All right. Chris has
Wow. I was just going to ask, you said, and this might seem like it might be dumb, but a couple times you kept using the word like, you kept saying like, oh, and then there's this bug that does that. Like, are they like a bacteria or like what, like what kind of organism are we talking about?
Yeah.
That's an intelligent question, Chris.
That's
Very
a great
well done.
question.
Yeah.
Well done.
I appreciated
I'm
the
not
question.
half as dumb
I
as
felt
I
like
look.
that was a bit sarcastic, but
Used to it.
Please, that was the smartest thing he said in months.
oh wow. Great
It's
question.
a wonder this store stays open, eh?
Yeah, so at Establishment, I talked a little bit about our mixed culture fermentation. Okay. And so essentially we kind of deal with 3 bugs. Brettanomyces is actually a species of yeast, and it eats really large, long-chain sugars, does it very slowly, and does a lot of the esterification I was talking about, where they turn acids into esters that smell and taste pleasant, like fruity. And then we have lactobacillus. There's a couple of different varieties of lactobacillus that we use. That's primarily for lactic acid production. That's you said like yogurty. Yeah. Lactobacillus plantarum is the exact same bug they're using to make yogurt. And then we have Acetobacter. Acetobacter creates acetic acid, and that's the vinegar profile. Now, it's a bit woo-woo. You can buy, you could definitely buy from Yeast Labs these blends of different bugs. You can also buy like bottles from famous sour producers where they are, or mixed culture producers, and they leave the yeast and the bugs in the bottle. So you can harvest the dregs or the lees.
Okay.
Very much like champagne, and you can create your own house culture. And they do compete against each other a little bit, but you can start selecting barrels for the right character that you like. And if there's a barrel that's gone bad, you dump it, you steam it, and you start over again.
All right. So why don't you just tell us real quick about this?
Real quick.
But then after this, I want to know about the Pink Boot Society.
Yeah.
And about kind of, because there's a big thing going on in brewing right now.
Yeah.
And I want to give you a chance to talk about that.
Thank you.
So I want to know.
Yeah, real quick, it's not in my beer vocabulary. I tend to go on and on. I love talking about beer, obviously.
That's why you're here.
Exactly.
That's why we love you.
Thank you. So this is Jamrock. This is our blackberry sour with, again, bourbon vanilla. We call this a kettle sour. So it's also known as like a quick sour in the brewing world. We take a lactobacillus culture, and we can produce sourness in our boil kettle at a temperature of around 40 degrees Celsius within 24 to 48 hours. And then once we're at the desired pH level, we'll bring everything to a boil that effectively kills the lactobacillus so that you're not getting any cross-contamination into your core beer stainless steel vessels. And we'll basically cast out into a stainless steel vessel, pitch regular Saccharomyces, so a beer yeast, and let it ferment out. We add blackberry puree, bourbon vanilla, and we can produce a sour beer in about 10 to 14 days. Now with the mixed culture, we have a saying, wild beer takes time. So a lot of the mixed culture organisms, we call them wild. It's kind of like they are a little wild. They're a little unpredictable sometimes. You definitely don't want cross-contamination in other areas of your brewery. And those can take anywhere from months to years to develop the right flavor profile that you're looking for.
Crazy. Okay, so why do I like this one? Even though I like to say I don't like sour beers. But this one does taste yogurty, but it tastes delicious. I think maybe sour is not so sour. It's not so acidic, maybe.
Yeah. So in our kettle sours at establishment, we try and go for really like a soft sour.
Right.
So if you like smell and of taste vinegar, like I would call that very sharp. And then yogurty is a little more soft and tangy and kind of like lemon citrus-like. So we always try and go for a nice balance. So a little bit of acidity that balances out nicely with the fruit flavors and aromas. And then with this one, of course, we add the vanilla that tends to soften the edges of the sourness.
It tastes like a berry sundae.
Yes.
It tastes like ice cream.
It's actually really good in a sundae.
Berry sauce on it.
Pour it over.
So Kevin,
Chris
on a scale of
Lordy,
1 to 10, yeah.
You would hate this, Lordy.
I would. Okay, I was going to ask on the Chris Lord scale of beer from 1 to 10.
Is beer that tastes like beer. So
I hear that a lot.
Think our Pilsner here.
Yep.
And Beck's if he's fancy, but Beck's a bit fancy for him.
Well, I'm just more of like there are things that like when I'm judging
basic
a beer.
lager.
And that's
when
okay.
I'm judging a beer. Yeah, well, I'm okay with it.
We all got our taste, right?
You know, but I try to see how many I can drink and how fast I can drink them. Those are the two major factors for me.
Do you know what? When I was living in England, lived in England for a long time, we used to go on booze cruises. We'd rent a car and we'd go across to France and then load up on booze and bring it back because it was super cheap in France. And we used to buy these this beer called Boris.
Oh, I've had Boris. Yeah.
But there were these little tiny bottles. They're like 150 ml bottles.
Yes.
You feel like a giant.
We drink like 27 of them a night.
Yeah. Yeah. But it feels like you're like having a tea party as a little kid. Like you feel like, oh, I'm playing alcoholic.
Oh yeah, it's like let's play drinking beer. It's so fun.
Pinkies out.
Yeah. And these little tiny stubby green bottles, and we just chucked them back.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, here, I've got to fly through some comments because you let people ask questions in the dish pit, right?
Questions for Natasha.
Yeah, and there are some, but I'm going to do a quick little lightning round, a couple shout outs to some people who always make a point to spend time with us. We've got Damon and Gary is here. Gary is the one credited with the creation. Well, you know what? Less Gary, more Gary's grandson, because that's who I feel. I've already made my own kids curse too early. I don't want to do that to his poor grandson. So Gary is here, and he wanted to say hi to Tiffany. He has spoken with her a few times on the phone and had a good time. Fighting Usyk missed.
I like Tiffany.
Our good friend Fighting Usyk. Yeah, I'm terrible. Missed the dad joke part, but wants to go back and watch it. But he has a joke for you. If you refuse to take a nap, are you resisting arrest?
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
So Damon is hoping, our good friend Damon Spector is hoping that Naoto has a ride home. Naoto's had a whole beer and has disappeared off camera. We can only assume he is asleep in his office. And then I've been drunk with Naoto. I have been very drunk with Naoto before. And we chased rabbits through a park in Calgary.
Did you talk about why Japanese eat certain food and why Canadians won't?
Yeah, well, he was concerned that we wouldn't because there's just so many whales. You know, like it was like, why don't you? There's too many. And I was like, don't say that, shush. So then I didn't know him that well. I thought I was helping him out. Turns out, you know, only a handful of people really care about that sort of thing. I ate whale. It was okay. I wouldn't like get on a plane to do it again. I was okay.
I'd try it.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of whale I've eaten in Japan and in northern Canada, I have not added really to the international demand for whale with the amount that I've eaten.
No.
I think it's no longer like acceptable.
It still happens in Japan.
It still happens? Okay.
It still happens in northern Canada too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Subsistence hunting.
It's just, you know what, it's one of those things I'm not going to get into. Yeah. So we've got John May. It says that he's like, you can't get behind the sours. He has a couple good questions, particularly for Natasha coming up. He says there's one that works for him called Four Winds Nectarus.
Delicious.
Don't know who makes that. Is that good? We like that? Yeah, we like that. Our buddy Trevor says, Kevin, to save your life, you have to either drink 5 sour beers or eat a plate of soft scrambled eggs with ketchup. Trevor is gross.
I will drink the sour beers. I'll drink 20 of them before I eat scrambled eggs with fucking ketchup.
Yeah. But then John,
ketchup is disgusting.
John had a pretty good question in the previous one. At first, he said, like, what's the where did this trend of making sours come from? Because they seem to be everywhere, right?
Because this place called Belgium.
Yeah. So he says.
Their flags.
I've heard of.
Plus. I know nothing about.
I've heard of. No, I don't know what the flag of Belgium looks like. But he's wondering if, because there's so many competitors in the beer market these days. Like, there's a ton of microbrews, small breweries, whatever. How pressured do you feel as a beer maker to jump on some of those bandwagons? Like, are you making the beers that you find, like, what's kind of the blend there? Because, like, a lot of us, like, you know, Armitage, Kevin, myself, like, we all worked in restaurants, right? And you've always got to have that. You always have to have a green salad and the soup on at lunch. Like, there's just rules, right? So how much of that affects, like, the beers you folks are making? I hope I'm asking it. Like, I'm kind of flying through this pretty quick, but, you know.
Are you making the beers you want, or are you making beers that the fans want? Or...
I was going to swear and say F the rules, but...
You can say F. F is fine. No swear jar needed.
Oh, banana the rules.
Oh, banana.
Probably not oh, banana, but, you know, we could make it work.
Oh, banana the rules.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully we're not jumping on the bandwagon. Hopefully we're, like, making the bandwagon. Like, that's the goal. It's
you need
like,
more beer.
I do.
Nato, do you want to roll the case over here? We can get beer.
Yeah, I mean, we take a lot of...
Just roll the trolley over.
Oh, thank you. The whole trolley. We take a lot of inspiration, obviously, and look towards what the U.S. is doing. We're also keeping an eye on the European markets. Yeah, sours originated in, a little place called Belgium.
Never heard of it.
And, yeah, I mean, Europe has breweries that are, like, thousands of years old, so... It's really, really super cool. We have to pay respect to that.
Calgary has breweries that are minutes old.
Minutes old. Yeah.
You guys are pretty old. You're what, 4 years?
2.5 years.
2.5.
I mean, Big Rock is 35, 36 this year.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So with regards to, like, what we're making, New England IPAs, hazy IPAs, definitely very of the moment right now. People are loving the juicy profile on those. We love to do the different fruited kettle sours, which is awesome. And then, but we also really like to experiment. So we did some smoke beers recently. We have a beer called Left My Wallet in El Segundo, which is
I had that recently
with pineapple.
It smelled like smoked pineapple.
Yes,
and it tasted like not a second one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'll tell you what, my buddy Richard, who I went on the sour crawl with last year, he can't get enough of it.
Perfect.
He is obsessed with it.
Yep.
Like, seriously, like, has a fridge full of the stuff. And he's like, Kevin, I've got this new beer that you're going to love. And I was like, pineapple?
Yeah.
Smoky? I'm like,
it is. It's kind of weird. Like, a Lichtenheiner is basically a smoked sour beer. and then we added pineapple to it. And so, yeah, it's definitely different, but it's one worth trying at least once.
But I'll tell you what I've got to say about it is it's just much more interesting to drink interesting beer than boring beer.
Yes.
And that is an interesting beer.
And I think that's also a lot of what drives the market too. We have our core beers. We have our German Pilsner, the Kolsch style, like the really, really nice European inspired classic styles, I would call. And I think we execute them really beautifully. But then we love to get into a bit of the strange as well. And then the whole other program is that barrel program. And that's where it's like you really finesse there and you're really talking about blending. And so we pull the nails off the barrels and we're trying different barrels and determining where their acidity is. If it's pulled any oak, traditionally we don't get a ton of oak from our barrels, but occasionally we'll have one. Is there any Brettanomyces as well? We were talking about bugs can create some really funky character. It's often described as like barnyard or horse blankety.
You know what? I like that funky character. I know that in wine, many or most winemakers will say, well, that's not good.
Yeah.
Right. That's a fault in wine, although you find it sneaking.
There are some wines made with Brettanomyces. So, yeah.
Yeah. But in beer, you see it's much more common these days.
Yes. Yeah. Brett is like, we love it. We love to experiment with it. It's very, it's just slow. Wild beer takes time. It's like the slowest organism, and it'll eat through everything though. It'll eat through your sugars. It'll eat through the wood if you leave it in the barrels long enough.
Well, I was going to say, is that why Brettanomyces beers are so dry? Like they're so, and that's what I like about them. I love super, super, super dry beer.
Yes.
Because it seems like they've eaten all the sugars.
Yes.
And then maybe even more of the sugar that wasn't there.
Exactly. That's like bang on exactly the point on Brettanomyces beers. They eat those long chain sugars that regular yeast or the bacteria leave behind. And you come out with this really dry, like thirst quenching beer. Yeah. I will say not all Brettanomyces beers are sour. Brettanomyces
many of them seem to be.
Make acetic acid under really like strange conditions. Okay. So usually if you have a sour beer where Brett is used, it's used in conjunction with lactobacillus or acetobacter.
There you go. So I'm full of garbage. So there you go. And all that. No, you know what? Let's talk about something else because I mean you're the president of the Pink Boot Society.
Yes.
So you should tell us what that is.
Okay.
Because then we can get into the kind of the news, which isn't the best news.
Yeah.
But maybe hopefully leading to a brighter future.
Yeah, that's definitely the hope. So Pink Boot Society started in the US. We've recently created a Canadian chapter. It's been about a year in the making. All volunteer run. And essentially what it does is connect women, and we're also open to non-binary folks as well, in the fermented beverage industry. So not just beer, we're open to women and non-binary folk in cideries, meaderies, distilleries, wineries. Kombucha, fermented beverage industry, yeah.
And distilleries.
Yes, yeah, which is really cool. We are basically connecting everyone for networking and learning opportunities, as well as we have a huge bank of scholarships that we offer to educate our members and hopefully advance their careers.
Scholarships, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I actually won one to go to Belgium and then COVID hit. So I'm hoping for 2022. It's a brewing and distilling course in Amsterdam, and then we're going to head to Bruges as well, which is very cool.
This whole COVID thing's really thrown a wrench into garbage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Current events.
Tell us about current events because this was a big deal.
Yes.
Is a big deal.
Yes. So recently there was an Instagram story post that went viral from Brienne Allen. Her handle on Instagram, if you'd like to go check it out, is Rat Magnet. And she had asked a question box about what sexist comments have you received in the industry. And it went viral. And she received thousands of experiences from women in the industry about sexism, misogyny, LGBTQ phobia, fat phobia, sexual assault, violence, and abuse. I
read a lot of these, and I was shocked. Mm-hmm. It was shocking. Mm-hmm. It was shocking.
Yes. And it's funny that you say that because for women in the industry, it wasn't shocking. We knew we'd been treated this way, you know, on some level for most of our careers. And so what's happened since then, though, are some really wonderful call to actions. There was a call to action for Cicerone, which is the predominant, basically, it's like sommelier, but for beer. So it's like your program.
PhD of beer.
Yes. And then I personally did a call to action for my workplace. I love and feel very supported at establishment, but we can always be better and be proactive about it, right? And often what I say is occasionally it's comments from delivery drivers or contractors or occasionally customers, and they happen so quickly that you maybe don't know how to respond. So
just
yeah,
punch.
Yeah, I just
punch. Just carry
violence is not the answer.
Okay, don't punch.
I do carry a pocket knife, but
I love pocket knives.
But yeah, so what's really happened is this has all come to light. There have been call to actions as well for the Brewers Association in the US and the Master Brewers Association of the Americas, which puts on conferences and educational events every year, as well as beer competitions and the Great American Beer Festivals. So what we're asking for is acknowledgement and then accountability. So acknowledgement that these are the shared experiences of our women in the industry and non-binary folk, and as well just action. Yeah. I've always been saying words without action are empty. And so we've seen a number of Calgary breweries acknowledge it through their social media, which is incredible, and taking a look at their internal policies and education for their staff.
I actually thought it was quite warming about the Calgary industry. Like I saw Cabin, for example,
yes,
who said, we're all men.
Yes.
They said, we're all men. We don't, this hasn't touched us. And and they said, you know, we think we could do better somehow, but they didn't really, they didn't know what they wanted to do, because they're just like, well, we're all a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
Your neighbors, Annex, one of the owners, is
Erica.
female, Erica, exactly. And so I'm just, what's been different? Like, have you guys got together on this? Are you doing something? Like,
yes. Yeah, the action part.
What's the action part?
Yeah, I have to give a shout out as well to Erin at Born Colorado. She's also an owner there.
Oh, I don't know her.
Yeah,
okay.
She's fabulous. And a lot of the breweries in the Barley Belt have been talking about this behind the scenes. There have been training with CASA, so the Calgary, I can't remember the acronym, but it's a Calgary Center for basically sexual abuse and training against anti-harassment and how to spot that, as well as toxic masculinity. So, so there have been training through that. There's an organization in Vancouver called Good Night Out, which was primarily focused on nightlife, but they're also shifting a focus to restaurants, brew pubs, and tap rooms as we grow in the industry here to ensure safe places not only for the staff but for customers as well to feel really welcome.
Well, let's hope that this awareness and these call to actions, let's hope this moves the needle forward.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Actually, I feel quite confident just in the world getting better, at least in Canada. In the last 10 years, there's been some big changes.
Yes.
Right. And it's been warming to see, which is good.
Yes.
We've got a long way to go.
Yes.
But it's good that we seem to be moving in what I think is the right direction.
Yeah. And I really think just the awareness of it is so important. You know, I'm speaking to my friends outside the industry and they had no idea that this was happening and going viral. And it was very traumatic for a lot of the women in the industry to relive those experiences. But also, you know, comforting to know that we weren't alone in our experiences. And there have been several changes at several very notable breweries in North America. And there has also been a growing list of where I won't spend my money anymore. So
there's always that, isn't there?
Yeah. And you know, you hope there can be change, but sometimes it's just too toxic that you just will not spend your money there anymore. So
I'm gonna hit you up for that list.
I won't give you the shit list.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, you will. Just know the camera's on. Lord, is there any questions? Is there any?
Well, while there was a couple of people are throwing dad jokes in.
Oh, I love dad jokes.
Okay, but
the funniest jokes, even though you have no sense of humor, I laughed at all of them.
I did.
Well, no, you only laughed 6 times. If
That's
you had
actually
laughed
not
at
true.
all
I
of
think I
them,
laughed-
I'd
laughed
have gotten. Yeah.
I think I laughed 8. I don't think Nuts is very good at scoring.
I did laugh at the one dick joke. So that's pretty telling for me.
That's
John, who was asking the question earlier.
I love this beer. I love this beer.
Yeah, so John, who was asking us earlier, I believe John's in Calgary. He hangs out in a few videos. Was saying, can you make more of the EST More Than Rain Czech dark lager? Because that one rules.
Yes.
And the
would I like that beer?
Yes.
Hopefully. I mean, I don't get to make the final decisions at establishment. That's our head brewer, Mike. But
well, there you go, John May. Send an email to Mike at establishmentbrewing.ca and say more of the EST, dude. Let's do it.
The More Than Rain, yeah,
or whatever it is.
That was
I guess that's
establishment. Yeah, More Than Rain was a collaboration with Rain Dog Bar. Super awesome. Yeah, they're like crawling distance from you as well.
Yeah.
In the Inglewood location.
Yeah, I've known Bill for a long time.
Yes.
But you know, the problem with Rain Dog is they've been open as a takeaway joint longer than we ever opened. And they were the last restaurant I went to before all this changed.
Yeah, they opened basically like in the middle of the pandemic. So
they opened weeks before.
Just weeks. Mere weeks.
Weeks before.
Yes. But yeah, that's a great beer. There's also a really cool story behind it. I tell too long a story, but yeah, you can hit me up on social media if you want to hear the story behind it. But love that beer.
What's your handle on social media?
Hopperella, HOPARELLA.
Is somebody putting that up on the screen? We have the power to do that.
I'm most active on Instagram, not Twitter anymore, but yeah.
Because Twitter's garbage.
Well,
that's where I live. I live at Twitter because it's garbage.
Is that why it's garbage?
Yeah. Garbage because I'm there.
HOPPERELL.
Enough laughing, Tiffany.
HOPARELLA.
Yeah, because if you spell it with an ERELLA, you get someone who says, "Here to help. I'm a diehard Jesus freak."
Oh, well, there's that.
Surprise!
Yeah. Doesn't look like you. There we go.
Somebody has to.
And now on to my next.
Yeah, that's you.
Have you let Jesus into your heart?
Yeah. Do you have some time to talk about our Lord and Savior?
Yeah, Naoto's coming. I see Naoto's back.
That's just my name.
Yes. Right?
Yeah, Chris Lord.
Oh, there you go.
My goodness.
That's me. It's just me.
Where are we at on the time? Have we run out of time?
We're at 38 minutes. We're at 38 minutes.
You're invited back always.
Yeah.
You come always. You're
Perfect.
way more fun. So you brought let's pump your beers. You brought the Food for Clouds.
Yep.
Double dry hopped IPA.
Yes.
You brought Jamrock.
Yes.
Which is the yogurt blackberry.
Don't call it yogurt.
You brought the yogurt beer.
Okay, it's not a yogurt beer.
Yeah, so you got the yogurt beer.
It was nicer when you said it tasted like an ice cream sundae, Kevin.
I love this can. Look at this can.
Yeah.
I say this is like the beer to drink after you mow the lawn, and look at the beautifully mowed lawn on the label. You get them stripes in there. That's a pro dad move. That's a Father's Day move.
You should see my lawn is atrocious.
You should see mine too. I've got all fescue grasses. It just looks like a wild grass meadow. It's people say
I know it's time to cut the grass because Maeve says, "You ever gonna cut that grass?" That's how I know it's time to cut the grass. You know, the neighbor cut their grass. Like, well, the neighbor can cut my grass if they want it cut. I'm not very good at being suburban.
Is that what you kids say these days? Well, the neighbor can just cut my grass.
Just cut
my grass.
Yeah, just cut my grass, you son of a gun.
Your grass cutter.
So I feel like there's like finger guns with that too.
Yeah.
My neighbors don't talk to me very much.
Well,
this is kind of how I just walk around through life. Yeah, I'm not always the most approachable, but let me show you this knife.
Chris, you're covered in tattoos, Chris. You sink axes into walls. Your knuckles say, "Who's next?"
Ooh.
You park noisy motorcycles out front. I think you probably scare everybody in the suburbs.
Loud pipes save lives.
Loud pipes save lives, Kevin.
That's what I hear.
Did you hear me coming or did you see me coming? That's what they say.
That's what I say about my car.
Yep. Yep. Which
Yep.
car? You've got two. You've got the opposite ends of the spectrum. You've
Well,
got
okay,
like
yes, I've got the car that's electric.
you've
and
got
then
the
I've
stealth
the old
car
66 car that makes
and the
a shit
fireworks
ton of
cars.
noise. And eats a
Yep.
lot of gas. I get
Yeah,
the
one
eats
time
lots of
Kevin-
gas, and then the eats nothing gas.
Kevin
What's
picked
the
me up at the
66?
airport once. He picked me up from the airport in that car and said, "Don't put your luggage there. I think that's a pool of gas."
Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
Wow.
And the
Yeah.
trunk sometimes gets a pool of gas.
Oof.
Yeah.
I wasn't
So-
wrong. It was a pool of gas.
Yeah, it's true. It was very nice of him to say something.
Never asking for a ride from the airport.
I've also got the quiet car.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's-
Mostly
battery
I just ride my bicycle.
There you
That's
go.
the dumb thing. In the summers, I want to ride my bike.
There you go. Yeah.
What do I know? Was there any comments or questions, Chris? We've got Natasha here. Do we want Naoto
yeah.
back? You know, I could get
Yeah.
lost, and Naoto can show up. He's had enough
People-
beer now. He's really fun.
Oh, Naoto's in.
He's had the fun amount of beer.
That's a good amount.
Here, I'm going to just vacate. I'm going to pour some
Yeah,
more
you
of this.
get. Yeah, just take the
Pour some
can
more
with
of
you. What you got to pour it for? I saw all the
Please.
cans. There's enough for everyone.
In case Naoto wants some more.
Mm,
All right, Naoto, I'm going to vacate.
you're in.
You're
Tag.
It's like tag team.
That's a wrestling thing, Naoto.
That's a risky
Here's
thing.
his comments.
Wrestling, not risky. Wrestling.
Yeah,
Oh,
hit us
so-
with the comments.
Yeah. What do we got any? So don't be shy with questions, everybody. We're here for approximately 20 minutes. I'm eventually going to have to tell you to like and subscribe and all of that nonsense. I'll
Yeah.
save Naoto the
was-
hassle.
It's your job.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, but
mine.
Naoto's been drinking now. Now it's my job
Yeah,
to make
that
sure
means
shit
it's like-
gets done. Yeah. Chris
It's
Armitage
like-
is just here in spirit. He doesn't really jump in at all. So
Something that I noticed, like, actually, sorry.
no, go for it, Naoto.
No,
This
something I
question will
noticed,
be
like,
here when we're done.
Last time I was back in Japan was that the craft brewery, like craft beer, was never a thing in Japan. It's like big companies like Asahi,
Yes.
Sapporo, and those guys been just dominating the market.
Mhm.
But the Japanese government actually have changed the law
Yes.
quite recently, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And there are actually a lot more smaller breweries popping up in Japan.
Yes.
I just stopped at one of the small craft, like it's actually that little beer bar that serves like very specific craft beer in this city of Kochi. It's like very isolated from all those, like it's a small city, right? And it's isolated from a lot of bigger cities, but they still had this beer bar that serves the craft brew from like very small towns
Like
and stuff.
regionally.
Regional.
Very cool.
And traditionally in Japan, the craft breweries or craft beer were brewed by the traditional sake makers,
Yes.
but it's changing,
Yeah.
which is great. Sake makers, it's good. They know their bacteria and stuff like that.
Oh,
yeast.
they have
But-
super cool bacteria.
They do, but
Yeah.
different from beer, right? Like beer,
Yes.
they have specific, and I think there are more and more new craft breweries, small microbreweries in Japan starting to actually become better.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. So as far as I understand it, the taxation was absolutely crazy, and that's what led to not a lot of the smaller independent breweries being able to start up in Japan. And or if they were brewing with like alternative grains, so not malt barley.
Yeah.
And so it was alternative grains meant to be lower alcohol to avoid the taxation, which was insane. So it's really cool to see. I've been keeping an eye on the scene in Japan as well.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's some really cool beer bars that are opening up and showcasing either imports or showcasing maybe a North American brewery who's coming over with a tap takeover. It's really, really cool.
Hopefully, the population, whole Japanese population, will start to understand the different. You know, there's more than Asahi. There's more than just Kirin. Because there's one super big craft brew bar in Osaka that I took my aunt to. She loves beer, but she loves Asahi, right? So I took her there, and I order like IPA, like American style, super hoppy IPA, and like. This is great thing. You should try this. And she's like,
overload.
Spoiler alert. I'm Naoto's Japanese aunt.
You need to take bigger sips, Lordy. What up?
Oh. Well, it's either... So, I used to work at this restaurant here in Ottawa called the Wellington Gastropub. And we had... It was less official than the Chopstick Challenge. You know, we didn't have a leaderboard quite as such, but there was every week we would try to, there was chugging occurred. Who could get the pint down the fastest? Now, I can definitely drink a pint of beer faster than anybody has yet to put Skittles in a mug or in a cup. I think now, I wouldn't sit down and drink this on a hot summer day, but a cask stout is prime for chugging.
You're not wrong. It's lower carbonation level.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Like Naoto, I could like chug a beer in like 2 seconds.
Them's fighting
Now
words.
this was like 10 years ago, and it hurts. It hurts to get it down that fast.
Yeah.
But I could at one point.
At
one point.
Carbonation level?
Cask beers.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
They kind of evaporate.
Which are very, very popular in the UK. So essentially, they go through a natural re-fermentation in a cask. So very similar to like a barrel-like vessel. And yeah, essentially, publicans used to be responsible for ensuring that the carbonation level was just perfect for service, as well as like there's a bunch of care that goes into serving cask beer. But it's typically like your typical American lager is going to be around 2.7, 2.8 volumes of CO2. And a cask beer might be 2 or lower. And yeah, so it's almost more of a similar mouthfeel to like a nitro pour, which nitro is smaller bubbles than CO2. So you tend to get more of the malt flavor shining through, and less of like the bitterness. So yeah, they can be quite quaffable.
That's what you want for a beer mile, is the nitro pour, because doesn't froth up.
Right.
Yes.
Don't want to do a beer mile.
No, you don't want to do that either. There's like a guy in Victoria who has like the record
World
for it.
record.
And I'm like, I like running. I like beer completely separately.
I do not like running.
Oh no, they run.
Mile run?
It's run and chug, run and
Oh
chug.
my god.
You couldn't get me to run anyways. I haven't ran since probably 1999 when I was in grade 9. Like the 1 year they made you take gym was the last time I ran.
Yeah. So there you go.
So listen, I heard this new shirt. Somebody said this new shirt design. Does anybody know about this?
I don't know anything.
No.
Yeah, there's.
I do know. I do know because Mason asked if I found it offensive.
I feel like I should know.
Oh, that's good. It sounds good already.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
apparently,
the design. Here you go.
we've a new.
Team
Oh, there it
Lordy.
is.
King Lordy.
So apparently, there is a link in the which you know what this limits me a fair bit because what if I wanted to shave?
The more
Yeah,
you look
so-
at it, the funnier it gets.
Yeah. So, you know, like for the record, everybody, like I don't wake up in the morning and try to be shitty.
No, but you
Like I don't wake up and just like I'm gonna be real mean to everybody today. Like that's not what happens. So, but apparently, if you like this shirt or you dislike Kevin enough to wear one, you can order it on the website. There's a link in the description to the video, I believe. If there's not, there better be by the time it's over.
There sure is.
And they're a print to order on the website right now. So I do appreciate that everyone seems to side with me. I don't know why you do. Like, Kevin is much more jovial than I am. He's a lot more fun to hang out with. So, but I like, yeah, you know, it's like it's nice to be liked, you know. You
Chris, I've
know.
hung out with both of us. I prefer hanging out with you.
Oh wow. Well, that's nice.
Wow.
Wow.
Terrible.
Yeah. So
Is there a
you know
Team
what
Kevin shirt?
No, everybody hates me.
No. For the record, though, Kevin, now that we're not on the other video, you did have some pretty good jokes, but I just didn't want to laugh because it was a game.
You're a jerk.
You know.
That's
well,
so
why?
mean.
Competition.
Tiff and I were just giggling our butts off
Yeah,
on the
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, funny, ladies.
They were great.
There were some good ones in there. The squirrel one was
You're laughing.
top
Yeah.
top notch. The squirrel joke. Look, we've got, according to Chris Armitage and his very strict schedule, we've less than 9 minutes left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give us the usual YouTube rundown, what's coming up, websites, and all that jargon. If you've any last minute questions for Natasha, for Naoto, don't ask me. I'll just deflect to someone else. But I'll go through the rigmarole that is being on YouTube, and that'll give everyone a couple minutes to get one or two more questions in. So this has been the Dish Pit. This is the after show to whatever we call the other one, Sharp Knives Rock, which comes out the second Monday of every month. So that's if I look on my Ikebana calendar, courtesy of the Japanese Embassy, the 12th of July is the next one. So write that down, Armitage. You've got to be ready. 12th of July at 3 Mountain Time. Holy Christ, it's 7 o'clock here. We've got other live videos that come on during the week. Tuesday, so tomorrow is going to be Sharp. No, this is Sharp Knives Rock. Tomorrow's Japanese Knife 101. I gave Kevin hell last week for not knowing the name of the shows, and here I am. I don't know what we're supposed to talk about. It's probably going to be Father's Day. Is Father's Day stuff. We never stick to the plan, so it doesn't really matter what we say it's going to be.
Chris, let's just talk about oatmeal recipes.
Oh no.
We'll talk about oatmeal, and I'll just buy myself a birthday cake and eat it.
Well, we're supposed to have one here
Oh,
today.
yeah,
Where's the
we're
birthday
supposed to.
cake, Nathan?
Yeah.
It's
Mwah, 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 mwah.
There's written in the description and the script. We're supposed to eat cake.
Birthday cake.
You can't blame Armitage. He's
Birthday
2 hours
beer.
away from you.
Saves the day. Birthday beer.
Yeah, well, there's none for me. It's my birthday, and I didn't get any.
We can't just drink 4.
Tiffany, drink double. Tiffany has the same birthday as me. She can drink double. So Thursday, so we got Japanese Knife 101 on Tuesday. Thursday is Sharpening Night in Canada with the Vancouver crew. Usually Owen and Francis tackle that video. So it's kind of our walk through how to sharpen a knife plus something extra. It's usually a lot of fun. I don't know what the extra thing is going to be this week. And then Naoto's Nerdy Power Hour occurs on Friday afternoons out of the warehouse, which is the more advanced sharpening knife stuff. If you want to learn something, hang out with Naoto. If you want to watch two people who look very similar to one another yell at each other, watch Kevin and I. If you've never sharpened a knife before and you think you might want to learn, watch Owen and his crew. And then you should like and subscribe to the videos and the channel and leave us nice comments and things like that. Be encouraging. I decided I'm not going to say dislike and unsubscribe anymore because then when people do it, it made me feel sad. So, and no one asked a question. Although Fighting Usyk bought a T-shirt, he says that's nice.
We
You
had
can always count on him.
We had a question from CB a little earlier.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, what's that?
No, does establishment export to the U.S.?
We do not. We are currently only in Alberta.
But if you order a knife from us and ask, we'll try to do it. But if it gets stuck at the border, that's your fucking problem.
It's technically...
It's totally illegal. We wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But if you just ask nicely, we might stick one in there. But if it gets stuck...
It might fall in. Kevin, we would never purposely do it, but for some silly reason, we keep cans of beer right above where the knives get packed, and sometimes they fall in.
Sometimes Tiffany does that.
Tiffany is very irresponsible.
With her little wimpy arms.
I don't know. She chopped wood pretty seriously.
Awesome act. Oh, swear word. Axe
No, it's okay.
chopping.
Gary's gone. Gary signed off a little while ago. We're good. We can say all the bad words we want.
Did you ask the question about the triple IPA?
I saw it pop up on the screen. I didn't answer, but somebody was asking about triple IPAs.
John May from Calgary.
Yeah. Hey, we have done triple IPAs. The best way to check all our current and past beers are on the website. So you can check establishmentbrewing.ca. We have a new triple IPA coming out this Wednesday.
Oh,
So yeah.
There you
that'll
go.
be available for pre-order, pickup. We got the tap room open again. So come visit us on our patio.
he thought he had this one like a couple of weeks ago. Did you have any on tap recently?
There was one. It was probably more than a couple weeks ago, but yes, there was one. I believe Ataraxia. So they're usually our white label release. So these are like the black label. It's like white on black. We do black on white, and those are the double and the triple IPA releases, special releases.
Such nice.
We've got all kinds of.
The patios are open.
Yes.
And, indoor dining is allowed. I still like to, have it in a patio.
Yeah. I'm still very much a patio person as long as the weather's good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As long as
It's Calgary, so as long as it's like 12 above, then
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If the sun's out, it's 12 up. It's like patio time. Or order for home. Gonna plug that too. Still, people have different comfort levels. So
do you guys deliver?
I would have to double check if we're still doing home deliveries, but you can pre-order and then we can do pickup. We can bring it out to your car.
Yeah, you guys were doing deliveries with everybody in the Beltline, weren't you?
Yes.
Barley Boat.
Yeah, we were combining with deliveries to help get beer to the people. So several of our neighbors, Annex, Cabin, Born, Colorado, we were helping get beer out to people when we did home deliveries, which is awesome.
Thanks. Well,
Oh,
thanks.
Well,
that's a lot of beer.
And I'm done. Cool. Yeah. Peace.
See, I'm still
Any last
just kind of
quick question?
struggling with this like 2-day hangover I created for myself. So, like, there's all this talk of me wishing I had a birthday beer, but it wouldn't go so good.
Tiff and I went camping on the weekend and had
Several.
a couple of beers. Or a few beers.
You don't have beers, Nathan. How many teeth you got left, Nathan?
Shockingly, all of them, except for the gold one.
That's why he has the mustache.
Yeah.
There's a
Honestly,
few.
there were no electric scooters at the campground, so I'm fine.
That's probably
Oh,
for the best.
Sense the backstory here now.
Yeah.
My parents
Yeah.
didn't know that
Are we gonna ask how old are you? I heard 26, but
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how old I am. I'm 36, I think. Tomorrow I'll be 36.
if that's you too.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? I can.
No,
I hold all the keys to those things.
Yeah, I find once you're in your 30s, it's the 2-day hangover, and you have to go
Yeah.
get some Pedialyte.
what I got to look forward
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, it gets worse.
Yeah.
Friends, it
Yeah.
gets
It just gets way worse.
Well, it's also like I haven't like stopped drinking for a reason, like any particular reason, but I just hadn't been drinking for a while. And we had a bottle of champagne at work that we've been saving because, when you work at Knifewear, we like to celebrate pretty well. I'm getting so close to this like time limit. Armitage is going to cut it off, but this is the story. So we had this bottle of Veuve Clicquot. It's been sitting in my office since New Year's Eve because we've been in and out of lockdowns in Ottawa over and over and over again. And I hadn't had a drink. I don't think I had drank since Christmas Eve when we had the first bottle of wine. And so I finally got all the staff in one room. I haven't been able to do that since then. So we had the wine. We ordered some pizzas. I was like Barney from The Simpsons. Like I just was like, I had a taste and then I just went nuts. And I got home and I just raided the liquor cabinet. We were playing Dungeons and Dragons. I don't normally do the voices, but I did the voices. I woke up on my dining room table, like head up. I apparently told all the staff to enjoy living alone. don't go rushing to grow up. Go have fun. I guess I turned into the drunk old man with all the advice. And then I had to ask Alex what actually happened in our game because I couldn't remember. So I'll probably go another 6 months before I drink again.
That is awesome.
Team Lordy.
Team Lordy, you know? Yeah, it's funny. You know, I've only had half a bottle of whiskey this year. I just did it in one night. So that's my problem. So
That'll get you.
It sneaks up. It sneaks up. It's a great time until it's not. So I guess with me acting like a booze hound, we'll probably finish off the show. Kevin ran up with his book. Maybe he's got something he wants to talk about before Armitage turns it off.
Well, I just wanted to say thanks, Natasha, for coming.
Thank you.
We got you a stack of ridiculous stickers.
Yes, I love
a pair
stickers.
of your own chopsticks,
Yes.
so you can practice at home.
So I don't have to
And-
bring my own
and-
terrible one.
And I wrote a book once, and I could give you one, and then you'll just look at the pictures like everybody else does and pretend you read it.
Wait,
And that'll be awesome.
Is this the one with the
Visty did a
typo?
great job.
This one here actually has the original typos, but I can get you one without the typos.
No,
Kevin, you
think
should
it's
go
amazing.
through and circle the typos for people.
They're on page
So they don't have
32.
Perfect. Just sign them, author signature, Nunu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just expanded for my husband's birthday this year. I expanded some knives, and we got 2 knives from you guys. So it has, and a proper like honing rod and like a cutting board, and it's gorgeous. And now I'm just like, I want to cook everything.
They're not good for this.
Well,
You'll break
you
them
know,
if you
my
do that.
anger issues are. Just kidding.
Don't do that. what he does, don't do what he does.
Well, I hear
No.
you can fix them if I do that.
Don't do what he does about anything.
No.
Don't get your knuckles tattooed to say.
Well, I
who's
have
next.
I have some beer tattoos.
I noticed that. Like,
Yeah,
what's
I
on
know,
your
I
arm?
Got a hop. That's sometimes people say it's an artichoke, but it's a hop. And then you won't be able to see, but you can see it on my Instagram if you can follow. But I have the 4 ingredients, and it says besties.
Hop, yeast, water. Yeah.
And yeast. Yeah.
Yeast, yeah.
And the barley is in cowboy boots because Calgary. So yeah.
Well, I have this.
That's awesome.
This tattoo of a rainbow trout dressed like Nathan Garrow, and it says "just trouting about" on it.
Okay, one-uppery. That's fine.
Yeah. So you thought, well, and I got this one that looks like a chip bag too. Everyone seems to like the chip bag one. All right, well, I think that's it. We'll turn it off. I'll turn it off.
Thank you so much.
Chris, I'll see you tomorrow, Chris. Ciao.